Welcome everyone to another episode of Wellington Gold. And I have to tell you that I had so many people request that I interview our next guest that I had no choice. And I'm excited to learn more about why everybody wanted me to interview him. So everybody, let's welcome um, Pastor Mark Gabbert. So welcome to the show. And how about you just give us a little bit of background on yourself first?
Okay, well, with 65 years behind me, it's hard to summarize it all, but my wife and I moved here with our two kids to Wellington in 1993, so we can start there. And at that point, I was serving a Lutheran church down in Fort Collins and commuting down there. And then in 2005, I started helping out at Zion Lutheran here in Wellington, just helping with youth and children's. And then in 2010, they asked if I would begin serving as pastor, which I was happy and humbled to do. So I've been serving here as pastor since then. So that's a
Oh,
quick
wow.
summary of that history.
Yeah, so 13 years as pastor. Wow, awesome. So when did you begin your um working with the church, like initially? Like was 93 when you started, or did you start prior to that?
I started way back in 1982. Uh,
Oh,
my new bride and I moved out to the Chicago area and served a church there as a youth and education leader, and then 3 years in Racine, Wisconsin, and then that led us to 1993, coming back to Colorado, where we both grew up.
so have you always had an emphasis on working with the youth?
Yes, even today, I still continue to work with youth, and as kind of a side work for a long time, I've been uh, working as a coach at the middle school here in Wellington. Coached football for over 20 years and wrestling for even longer.
That's amazing.
Well, it's fun.
So, yeah, and so that's with the middle school.
Yes.
Nice. That's awesome. So you really have a heart for kids. That's amazing.
I
Um, can you tell me some, sorry, can you tell me some of the things that you are working on here in Wellington, some of the projects that you're working on?
Okay, the one that we've been doing for quite a while is the Wellington Food Bank. That started as a ministry of Zion about, we don't know for sure, 30 something years ago, with a couple of gals just handing out staples on the front steps of the church. And then it grew and evolved, and we met over at what is now the Boys and Girls Club for quite a long time. And then when Boys and Girls Club moved in, it wasn't going to work for us to coordinate our schedule with theirs. So the last handful of years, we've been open twice a month over at River of Life Fellowship. They've graciously made their facility available to us. So twice a month, we go in there and set up tables and bring in usually about 3 pallets of food and organize it. And folks come through and get food boxes. And yeah, that's a big part of how we've served the community. More recently, we've started a project called the Community Services Center. And our hope and prayer is that we're going to build a building here just south of our church building on Second Street. And that will become a house for agencies that will help address not only food insecurity, but we'll also have a clothing pantry. Larimer County Human Services will have 2 offices in there so that all that they do for folks will be available here in Wellington, so they don't have to go all the way down to Fort Collins for that. And then we want to address the need for more mental health services. Summit Stone Mental Health is a partner in the project. They're going to have 1 or 2 offices here in the building. And then we're looking also for some faith-based agencies and counseling services so that we can serve everyone who walks in the door.
I have to say that this is the first that I have heard about this.
Well,
How long has this been going on?
well, we've been working, and there's a lot of backstory, but just to summarize, we've been working on this particular project for a little over a year now. And we it looks like it's going to happen. We're going to start our public phase of, getting the news out about the project here within the next week. And so then hopefully everybody in the community will know about it. We've been meeting with potential donors and trying to make sure we can get all the funding we need, or at least most of it lined up. And so far, it's looking pretty positive. We're confident that it's going to happen. Hopefully, within the next year, it'll be up and going.
That is beyond amazing.
Uh, that,
I I am just shocked.
well, it's part of my heart, part of our congregation's heart has always been that we're here not just to be here for each other, but for the whole community around us. And a little core value I've always lived by is that people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And so community service is a big part of what we want to be all about.
That is, oh, okay. Now I know why everybody wanted me to interview you because you are about service and you are about caring. And I am so glad that people told me about this, about you. It's a beautiful thing.
Well, so
So,
far, most of it's talk. We have to see if it if we can get the job done, but I'm confident we will.
right. So are there going to be well, next week I'm sure we will hear all about it.
Yep.
And we will of course be providing a link to um your website for
Thank
that.
you.
So
Thank you.
that's wellingtoncsc.org
Correct.
is that. And then also zionofwellington.org
Hmm.
is the church. So, holy cow. Wellington is so lucky to have you. This is just beyond amazing.
Well, I look at it the
Um,
other way. I think that the most vital work any of us can do is to contribute to the lives of others. So I feel blessed to have all the opportunities I have and to have a congregation that supports it.
is, that is also important to have that support of your congregation. And
Mhm.
I'm sure that they are just jumping at the bit to help make this a reality. So for people, anybody that wants to donate, or perhaps people might have some connections with some
Mhm.
nice institutions. Um,
Yep.
would that information be found on your website, or is that something that they could just contact you about?
Either or. April 1st is when we're doing this launch. That's going to include a lot of social media, a
Mhm.
lot of, well, stuff that I'm not very good at. We're working with MRock Creative and Sage Creative to help us with that, and we'll get the word out to everybody. And that will include opportunities from small gifts, financial gifts, to opportunities to become part of our team in various ways to help with the project as it gets going. So that should be all coming together within the next few days and out on Facebook and LinkedIn and those kinds of things here soon.
Yes, there are some good ways to use social media. Now,
There
there are a
is.
lot of other ways to use it, but this is one of those warm and fuzzy ways to use it.
I agree.
It's a, I, I'm very much caught off guard. I really did not expect to hear this, and this is wonderful. Wow. Okay. So everyone's going to hear more about that starting April 1st, and
Hmm?
that everyone, jump in both feet to be of service to Pastor Mark and his group there. Um, so let's talk more about the kids. Um, so what, okay, so first off, with the middle school, with the
Mhm.
coaching,
Mhm.
what do you think helps you to be a good coach for them?
Well, I guess at the heart of it is that I just really love youth and love kids that age. I enjoy being around them. I've got a lot of history in the sport, and I guess that helps. I have some
Hmm.
tremendous assistant coaches, very supportive school environment. So um, I think all of those are the things that help make that successful.
And what do you think, because we have been talking a lot about mental health in schools.
Hmm.
How do you think just your average person um, can somehow help these kids to be seen or heard?
Wow. Um, There are ways both big and small, I suppose. One is
Hmm.
to just simply befriend those kids in that age group that they know and make sure that those kids understand that they care about them, that they're there to help. If kids have needs greater than what an individual feels they can handle, hopefully they know that they can go to the school or to hopefully their churches or other organizations that can help refer them to the agencies that are there that really know how to best
Hmm.
deal with kids in this age group. But the need, in my estimation, is increasing. Um, it's a more and more complex world these kids are growing up in, and they're getting bombarded with things. You had mentioned social media and having a not so positive side to it, and that's pretty clear that it can sometimes be used in ways that are harmful. And
Yes.
it's I take as a follower of Jesus, I take a holistic approach to it. I trust the sciences. I trust those that are involved with psychology and psychiatry and counseling um, to be very helpful resources. But I also feel like young people need to know that they are loved unconditionally. I think all of us do, and hopefully, those of us uh, who are connected with churches are getting that word to kids that they can understand that they are loved unconditionally and have tremendous potential. Um, all they need is to realize it and tap into everything around them that's there to help them discover and develop and deploy those gifts that they have. So I just think making every child understand that while they may be different in so many ways from others, that's the beauty of things, that
Hmm.
everybody has unique gifts and talents and abilities and personalities that when you put it all together create a well, what I call a beautiful tapestry of humanity.
Oh, I love that. I think that somehow most people, and I could be wrong, but I think most people tend to see the best in others and the worst in themselves. And that's not a good combination.
I agree with that. I think sometimes maybe people get the opposite message, or the
Mm,
opposite thought that, yeah, everybody sees what's wrong with everybody around them. And yeah, no, I think that too many people, when they look in the mirror, just hear all those voices
mm.
criticizing different aspects of them. And they need to be told and helped to understand that they're loved and supported and that there are people around that want them to know that.
And that's why we need to get this project of yours funded
It will
Built,
help. It will help.
completed.
Yep, I really
So,
believe it will help.
yes, and what is the name of the project again?
The Community Services Center of the,
Community Services Center. And so we're thinking that's going to be on Second Street behind
yes,
the church.
yep.
Okay.
Right now there's been a community garden there for, I don't know, 10, 15 years, maybe longer, and a little playground and a grassy area. So it'll be in that on that lot.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Well, Pastor Mark, I want to thank you so much for letting us interview you and for all the love that you give to the community and for this amazing project that you're pouring your heart into. Thank you so much for just being you and I hope that your love multiplies many times over and is contagious.
I agree, and thank you for all you're doing to get the word out.
Okay, everyone. We'll see you on the next episode and be on the lookout for the Community Services Center information that'll be hopefully spamming social media near you.